welcome everyone to the Water Tower Podcast, a podcast about everyday things for everyday people like you folks. Today we have a special guest. Her name is Lindsay, and our buddy Jay here, our co-host Jay, knows a little bit about more about her than I do. So I'll let him take it away after we introduce ourselves. My name is Nick Milan. To my left is Mr. Jay Yoder.
Yes, I'm Jay Yoder. And this is Lindsay. Lindsay's an old friend of mine, been friends since 2010. And Lindsay, why don't you just let people know where you're calling in from, first of all, I believe you're in some farm in Colombia, and then explain and then explain the van project after that.
Okay. I am currently with my husband here, trapped on a farm in Colombia. We say trapped because, the whole country's on lockdown until like May 11th, I think. But we got here luckily just in time before, like 2 days before the quarantine started. But we were traveling basically from Peru, where I was living with my husband for 2 years. We decided to buy a Volkswagen van and drive to America. So our goal was to do it in 2 years. It's being extended a little bit because of this coronavirus, but when we heard that they were going to close down the borders, we were in Ecuador. So on the beach, just chilling. And so we had to haul ass getting to Colombia 2 days into the quarantine. But we made it to my family's farm, and we're here hanging out in this beautiful area with like banana trees, orange trees, avocado trees. Like, we are very lucky.
All right. And what's the name of the van excursion? Because I will mess it up because I'm a white boy.
So the name of our trip is called To Infinity and Chihuan. And the story behind that is Chihuan basically means like somebody who is too poor to survive in their lifestyle. Because in Peru, years ago, there was a congresswoman whose last name is Chihuan, and she said, like, the money she makes in the government is not enough for her lifestyle. And so everybody started saying, oh, I'm Chihuan too. So we're Chihuan and traveling. So that's what it's called.
I'm expecting that wasn't received very well by the citizens.
Oh, yeah, they didn't like that very much. But now everyone just says they're Chihuan, and they moved on, so.
Yeah, and then everyone check out the website, toinfinityandchihuan.com. There's a blog to sign up for. There's tons of travel resources from gear, everything. Looks like we lost Nick. I think he's having internet issues.
He failed.
So there's two of us.
Uninterested.
Yeah, boring. But I hope but there he is. Now he's on bottom. Sorry about that.
Welcome back, Nick.
Hey, Nick, you there?
What just happened?
I don't know. You just cut out.
I know. Shoot, my bad. That was weird. I know. I did cut out.
Oh, well. Well, keep going. So,
yeah. No, sorry about that.
No, so,
No worries.
So you are from Oregon originally. What town?
Yeah, I am from Roseburg, Oregon, in the South.
All right. And then you traveled everywhere. It seems like 30 plus countries, I believe. And if I know anyone with tons of passport stamps, I think you're the winner out of everyone I know. And and you eventually ended up in the Peace Corps in Peru, or were you in Bolivia, in Peru?
No, I was in Peru, yeah. So I've been to about 35 countries around the world. I'm on my second passport. And I was in Peace Corps in Peru in 2013 to 2015.
Nice. And then is that when you met your husband, Victor?
Yeah, that's where I met Victor in Lima, because where we did our training, we were like housed in his neighborhood. And so I met Victor there, and it's like we went out, all the volunteers went out with Victor and all his friends, and got to really know the Peruvian culture at the bars, you know.
You fell in love with the culture and Victor, and that was it.
And that was it. I had to go back.
So you went to
go
Oregon.
back, and I had to trap him.
You went to Oregon, then came back.
Yeah, so after Peace Corps, I was back in Oregon for about a year, and then I actually moved to New York, and I started my master's program there. And the program was super cool. It sent you to different countries during your studies. And so first I went to Thailand, and then I decided to go to Peru, which is where I finished my thesis. And yeah, so I stayed after that. I was supposed to go back to New York and finish my degree, but I did everything online and finished my degree from Peru. So haven't left.
What's the degree in?
International development, and I did like a focus on agriculture development.
How was New York, and how would you compare it to kind of like the other cities you've been to? I've never been to New York.
Yeah, New York was cool. I mean, I wasn't directly in the city. I was in the like outskirt Bronx. So I only really went to the city a couple of times, but it was definitely a cool experience because you only see New York in like movies. To be there, it's like so surreal, like looking up at all the buildings. But it's expensive though, so I was kind of glad I wasn't in New York, New York.
Nah, I bet. So what made you want to, go and study that, go into that field of study? I mean, coming from Oregon, what was kind of the motivation to get you out there?
Yeah, I mean, probably semester at sea had a lot to do with it because it really opened my eyes to a ton of different cultures and like the needs that these developing countries are needing. And so after I got back from a semester, it is pretty much why I decided to do Peace Corps. And in Peace Corps, I was working directly with the people. I was working in youth development, so I was teaching in high schools, and I lived with a family that worked in agriculture, and I saw like the struggles with water. They didn't have access to water regularly. And I don't know, just seeing all that just made me want to jump in it. And so I decided I wanted to go into international development and food security because with climate change, there's not going to be security for the rest of the world. And it's just a very new topic. There are actually not a lot of programs around the United States that offer international development programs, like master's degrees. So that's why I decided to go to New York, because it was one of the better programs that I saw in the States. But yeah, it's going to be a growing need in our world, I think. And so I felt like I had to jump on that topic, and I really enjoyed working with Peace Corps directly with the people. And so, yeah.
Well, then it's like, especially you've traveled so much, and I've traveled a bit, not as much as you, but it's global warming and the effects on certain areas are more, it seems like you're more aware of it when you travel to certain areas, especially some poverty-stricken areas. And it's always interesting to come back and talk to someone who's never traveled, and they're like, it's bullshit, it's all made up, and da-da-da. And it's like, dude, just buy a plane, like a plane ticket, and talk to them about the water levels of the beaches and see the old buildings where they used to be and where they got moved. Do you kind of agree with that, or how do you deal with those type of conversations?
Yeah, it's exactly that. Like, a lot of people don't see the changes, or they'll say like, oh, it's super hot today, that's weird, but they won't like realize, it could be one temperature degree difference. But across the world, like in Peru, they base their agriculture system on the weather. And so they have the months there's rain. And so they're going to be, during that season, they're going to be planting. And if there's no rain, there's no planting. So when I was in Cusco, there were months where it was like super delayed with rain, and the people survive on agriculture. So if they don't get rain, like, they'll be struggling this season, and it's not going to be a good year for them. But then later on, there's the countries where it gets too much rain. Like, the rain is extensive now, so their whole land flooded. And then what? They lose their agriculture there too. But that's not regularly something that you'll see in the United States. For example, there might be a lot more fires, which we've seen in Los Angeles in the last, well, you guys have seen in California in the last couple of years, but people just, that's normal.
Yeah, it's crazy all the fires that happen, but also it's weird. Like I think most of the fires are man-made, man-created from more people camping than they would
Yeah.
is. But I mean, I think Florida. I don't know if it's Miami or somewhere else, but in Florida, it's part of it's flooding. They're already pumping out water in certain areas, so it's interesting. It's a right state, like a red state, but it's dealing with that. But the main topic. Well, Nick disappeared, but the main topic is that it is happening and it's alive and well. And I wonder, is there this argument in Peru? Is there two sides to this, or is everyone like, yeah, obviously it's happening?
No, yeah, everyone here is, well, I'm in Colombia right now, but everyone in Peru when I was living there would talk about climate change. Like, yeah, it's clearly happening because this is not normal weather for, this time of year. Like, the farmers know that. Everybody knows that. There's no debate in Peru.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Oh, American politics. Everything's political. But
Yeah, there's always debate. Yeah.
You and Jay went on a semester at sea together, and then, if you can talk about that experience a little, and then, it seems Jay went a different route. Jay went to the Netherlands, you went to South America. I don't know. I would ask Jay, what inspired that, and I would ask you well, I already kind of know what inspired you to go down there. But it seems like you guys took the same journey and went on two different routes, but both to different cultures. That's interesting.
I sold my soul to corporate America to pay off student loans. Basically, is my. I traveled as long as I could, lived in the Netherlands for a while, went to Australia, kept it going each year, and I still try to travel as much as I can. But it's those loans, man. It's a lot of money, and semester at sea, I'm still paying for it, but mainly I'm paying for art school from San Francisco. But yeah, that's basically my answer.
Oh yeah, I forgot you went to Australia and Europe and all of that. You did a completely different direction than I did. But yeah, no, being in debt, yeah, that'll cost you to go to corporate America. And that's why I joined Peace Corps, because I thought they were going to pay for all of it. But surprise, surprise. Still in debt too, but hell, it's worth it.
So Chihuan basically means someone that can afford their lifestyle. So maybe like a poor person, I'm assuming. So like you're now in a van going on the longest combination of roads in the world, the Pan Am Highway, which you could drive all the way except for a bit of northern Colombia, I believe, where you have to take a boat. Why don't you explain the van, how this idea happened, and just give a little detail. I want to know what year the van is and just how you guys decided to do this.
Yeah, so actually, let's see. Me and my husband Victor met a couple from Argentina who were doing the trip in like an old timey Jeep, but they changed the motor. We met them close to our house in Cusco, and we decided to talk to them for a while because it's cool as shit we're doing. And so we talked to him, man, that would be so cool to do that. And it just sat in the back of our minds, what if we did that? And then it kind of we just let it go for a while. We were working with a nonprofit in Cusco in agriculture. And so we were kind of focused on that at the time. And then we decided that we wanted to start traveling again before, we start having kids, buy a house or a piece of land, all that craziness. We wanted to keep traveling because, I don't stop. And we kind of just looked into it more and decided maybe this is kind of the route to go. And we had a Subaru Forester at the time. So we sold that within a month. And then a week later, we traveled to Arequipa, Peru, looked at a couple different vans, and then we fell in love with this 82 Volkswagen bus. It's a bluish color. And that's where it started. And that was in August of 2018. Yeah. No, that was in August of last year. That was not 2018. That was last year. That was how quick this trip has gone. And then we left Cusco. We sold everything in our house and filled the van with our belongings, took out the whole inside, and we put in like a sofa couch so we can sleep in there. We put in like storage for clothes, for books, for cooking, and we left Cusco. We left our lives in Cusco like mid-December of last year. And yeah, and now the whole trip is going to end in Alaska in probably 3 years now because of coronavirus. But yeah, so we'll do mainly Pan American. For the Panama Canal, we will have to ship our car from Cartagena to Panama City. And then, yeah, we'll just keep going slowly while we wait for Victor's visa to go through.
Well, my dad should be going through the Panama Canal on a little sailboat, so maybe we could put your van on the sailboat and get you through.
Oh my gosh, what? That is so cool.
But
when is he going to be in Panama? Maybe we'll run into him.
He's quarantined in Saint Martin, I believe, or Grenada. He keeps jumping islands, but he's
okay. Well, he's not too far though.
Yeah, I think it'll take like 10, 12 days, but I don't know if he's going to island hop. It just depends on the COVID situation because he was planning on like a year down the road or something. Yeah. But now it might speed up, so I really don't know. But yeah, he's out doing it. But
yeah.
You're on your family's ranch?
Yeah, so we got into Ibagué. We kind of like, well, everybody in our family was like, where are they going to stay? Because everybody here thinks that foreigners coronavirus. So we just automatically got stamped like coronavirus. So luckily, one of my cousins is trapped in Canada because of the coronavirus, and she has a beautiful ranch on the outskirts of Ibagué. And so they sent us here, and this is kind of where we're hanging out. So.
Wow.
Yeah, and I saw today, Victor, or was it yesterday, Victor was swimming in this natural pool, and it's just green. It looks like you guys are cutting down bananas and eating it. It looks awesome.
Yeah, we try to, find new things to do around the farm. We've left the farm maybe once in the last month and a half because, like, the neighbors don't know us. They know we're from Peru, so we don't freak anybody out. But we went down to the store the other day, which was like something new for us. And it's a very cute little town, but there were people walking around with their masks on, and it's an absolutely beautiful area. We're like right in the middle of a huge canyon.
Wow, so COVID really put a damper on your guys' travel plans, and I believe you guys were almost trapped at the border, correct?
Yeah, we literally crossed the border like 4 hours, got our visa stamped 4 hours before they closed. And then, yeah, it's dampened our travels a little bit, mainly because we had work, like jobs, as tour guides in Peru. So we were going to leave our car here, travel to Peru to do a tour for medical students for 2 weeks, but everything got canceled. So like that income kind of affects our trip when it comes to crossing the Panama Canal, which is very expensive. But otherwise, we were still planning on staying in Colombia for about 6 months anyway. So it hasn't dampened it to that point. We haven't really seen our family because we're on quarantine, but I don't know. At least we're still doing the trip because we know a ton of we know a ton of other travelers who are also in Volkswagen vans who have all gone home, like back to Argentina, back to Chile, back to France. Like they've either left their car and traveled home, or they've sold their car, or they've just finished their trip. So we're really lucky that we have a place where we can like actually go and like stay for a while without any issues.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. So you said 2 years is what you projected it to be. Is that kind of standard time, or what do you guys have planned for the trip?
Yeah, so we're kind of doing it slowly. I think if you were to drive it like straight, you probably like 4 months, but we're doing it, well, it's probably going to be a bit more than 2 years now we just want to get to know each country. We're really interested in doing like volunteer work in each country as well. So we are members of a website called Workaway, where it's like farms and hotels that are looking for volunteers to stay for a couple of weeks, and they offer you food and housing, and you literally just work like 5 days for 5 hours a day and hanging out at this place for 3 weeks to a month. So that's what we've been doing in Peru and in Ecuador, and we hope to continue doing that in Panama and the rest of the way up. That really helps with our expenses, but it also like makes our trip a little bit longer because the minimum stay is usually 3 weeks to a month at each place, but that's not an issue with us. Also, we are waiting for my husband's visa to go through for the United States, which is a really long process. So it's probably going to take about 2 years until he gets it, especially now that everything's suspended. So that's why it's going to take so long. But
so you might
we're
be
excited about it anyway.
you might be hanging out in Tijuana for a long time.
Yeah, so we technically have like 3 months visa for every country between Colombia and the United States. So, you know, that should be good enough.
Yeah,
But
totally.
yeah, we might be chilling in Mexico until we get that visa.
Yeah, how cool is that? That's awesome of you guys to, to have that opportunity. So what are some of the best experiences you think you've had in these volunteer situations you guys have been up to? And if you can, say that name again of the foundation. I don't think we caught that clearly.
Yeah, the website's called workaway.info, I think. And there's like a small like membership fee for a year. But we've had some pretty cool experiences so far. The first we had was on the northern coast of Peru, and it was at a farm called Utopia, and it's a permaculture farm, which is basically organic agriculture mixed with like community projects, so like social development between other members of your small community. So we got there and there were already like 7 volunteers from all over the world. They were from Spain, France, Serbia. They were from everywhere. And so it was cool to like live in that small community and work together and like make your meals together for the 2 weeks we were there for 1 week, I think. For the 1 week we were there, and everybody was great. It was a very cool experience, definitely. You get close to it's a way to meet new people from around the world, because if you're just traveling in a van on the Pan American Highway, just stopping in random spots, you'll meet some locals, I don't know. It's a completely different way to travel, honestly, doing the volunteer thing.
Well, what's it like living in a van? Like, did you get used to it? Did it take a couple months? Are you used to it now? Especially for I don't know how long you were married before you guys got in the van, but a lot of people are complaining about quarantine and being trapped with their significant other in a house. I'm like, hey, the van's the real way to do it. You can't complain at all.
Yeah. It definitely took some getting used to, that's for sure. It's such like a small space to share between 2 people. And we definitely fought the first couple of weeks, but we just like came to an understanding, like we cannot fight, because living on the road is hard. Like you have to every night, especially when you're driving between like volunteer positions, you have to look for a safe place to park your car and sleep in at night, or like a good place to find food, water, showers. Like you have to just be constantly aware of your surroundings, so you can't be fighting with each other. Like, so we're finally used to it. Of course, now we're inside this little farm, but it depends on the terrain that you're in too, and the weather, because when it's hotter outside and you're living on like the coast, and it's just pure humidity and you just feel sticky and there's no showers, it gets rough. But But then there's other areas where it's like cool, you're in this beautiful mountain terrain and it's just, you know, raining outside, but it's gorgeous. Like, living in a van is awesome.
So once you're used to it, it's going to be hard to get out of it, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
I think I saw on Instagram like a couple weeks ago or something, I don't know, a week ago or something, you guys were parked literally on a beach, doors open, there was birds flying. It was, I mean, it's pretty awesome to wake up and see the water like that, but I see the downside as well.
Yeah, it was super cool. We were in Mompiche, Ecuador. That's where we were staying for like 2 weeks right before we had to haul ass to Colombia. And we really liked that town. It's super like, it's like a old fishing town, super rustic, but we were able to find a parking spot like right in front of the beach, like where those crashing up against the rocks right in front of your bus. And then the view we had was like of all the fishing boats that go out at like 3 a.m. You look out the window and it's like everybody's pushing their boats out, go fishing for the morning. It's just, it was a crazy experience. But yeah, like that's what living in a bus is so cool. Like you just pull up and call it home for however you want, and you witness these cool cultures.
Yeah, that's so badass. So, I mean, it's like most people you talk to will probably say like, oh yeah, someday I want to, buy a van and go on this trip. And, the fact that you guys are doing it, says a lot about motivation and living your dreams. So what was that conversation like when you talked to your husband and was like, hey, let's do this? What was that conversation like?
Well, for me, because I travel all around the world. So like traveling to another country, even like by myself, I've traveled by myself before. I'm like nervous about it. Yeah, sure. There's a couple countries where you hear like very negative things or like you see on the news very bad things. So yeah, you get nervous about those specific countries. But for Victor, it was something that's completely new because he'd never left Peru before. So yeah, he'd love to like traveling around Peru and seeing the different cultures of Peru even and trying different foods and everything. And he wanted to go to the United States with me, obviously, 'cause it's my hometown and we got to visit the fam, But it was definitely more nerve-wracking for him, I think. For me to just like convince him was not like a right away thing. I had to do a lot of research. I had to present it to him, look, we could do it kind of thing. But once we like sold the car, it was like, all right, well, now we have to find a van and actually do it. So yeah, once we had the van, that like set, it was like, okay, here we go.
How do you guys
but he was definitely nervous at the start.
Yeah. Have you guys dealt with any break-ins? I'm sure, or some problems? I'm sure the car needs servicing. Can you go into little details of like maybe shady moments or anything like that?
Yeah, we haven't had any break-ins or anything like that. But we have had some car issues, like with the motor, which we still kind of have a weird like battery issue with our. And so, but when we were in northern Peru, there was a couple of days where we were just like, what the hell is wrong with our car? Like there's a on the dashboard, a red light that flashes if something's wrong with the car. And I have this Volkswagen manual that says like, if this is happening, fix this, or it tells you like this, if there's this noise, just look at this part and fix this. So I was looking through this book and the light, it says, when the light is on, make sure you do not start the car because your motor could explode. And so at that point, we're like, well, hell, what are we going to do now? Like, we're stuck in the middle of the mall parking lot. Like, it's nighttime. It's not a safe city. Where are we going to go? We called, like, 4 mechanics and my dad because he's worked with Volkswagens before. And it was just absurd. It turned out it was just a little electrical wire that was, like, touching a piece of metal. and we were able to get out of there. But it's like these little things that just like when you don't know what's wrong with your car, it's just like a moment of freak out. Like, what do we do now? And it's like we're learning to just a minute, breathe, and be like, okay, this is what we have to do. And then we just get on with the solution. But man, those first couple weeks though were pretty stressful because I felt like things kept popping up with the engine. Like but we did expect this because it's an old car. It's a remodeled engine though, so I just can't believe we made it to Colombia without any major issues. But they're definitely, with an engine, you're going to have issues. So, but we're just making sure that we, like, especially now that it's sitting, we're making sure that we start the car every 3 to 4 days, drive it around a yard a little bit, and just maintain it for now. So far, we've been super lucky because we've met a lot of other travelers between Peru and here that have had major car issues. And our issues have just been little things, so not a huge deal.
Yeah, that's so what are those communities like, those kind of van communities? Because what I've noticed, I had a Volkswagen for a while, and like every time I would see another Volkswagen owner, they like honk the horn and like, hey, thumbs up, you know. So I bet like it's like, you know, when you're traveling with them, what's that community like?
Oh, it's the coolest thing. And I didn't even know that it would like happen really until we left Cusco. Like their first destination was Abancay. In between Cusco and Abancay, we had to have seen like 15 travelers, whether it was in a Volkswagen bus or just a regular bus or bike or motorcycle. We saw so many travelers and they always honked and like waved. It was so cool. Like, it's just a cool feeling, like knowing that these other travelers are like, woohoo, you're gonna go have fun over in that next town. I mean, and then yeah, Volkswagen supporters too. Like, we posted on our page like looking for other Volkswagen, I guess, fanatics in Peru, and a couple of Volkswagen clubs in Peru like messaged us. They're like, hey, if you have any issues in this town or need a mechanic, like here's a number for wherever you are.
Right on.
Like everyone supports you to do this trip, so we're like not concerned at all.
Well, people were caught with adversaries every day, right? And so that's you know, Jay mentioned kind of those events that happen that are not very fun, but you really can't let those weigh you down, right? You got to keep going.
Yeah, you really can't. There's always a solution, but it's just annoying at some points, you know? But we've had so much support from other travelers too, and we've met other travelers in Volkswagen buses who have had issues, and we want to support them too so that they can continue on their adventures. It's not, you know, we're a community, so.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about, right? You learn and then you teach.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the final plan? Like after you get to Alaska, then what?
After we get to Alaska, I don't know, we just have to cross our fingers and make sure we get there first. But afterwards, we're going to drive back down south to Oregon, where my family is. We'll stay there for a couple months and then just figure out what we're going to do from there. I don't know. I guess I'll have to find a real job, real life.
I don't think so. I doubt it. By the way, Nick, speaking of jobs, real jobs, because I told Nick you're a travel junkie and that she used to live and kind of help out and work on a pisco farm. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, yeah. When I was in Peace Corps, I lived with a family that like produced pisco like from their house. So we literally at 3, 4 in the morning, people would come to our house's window, knock on the window, and yell for pisco, and we would sell it out of our window.
Well,
what I know pisco very well.
What is that?
Pisco is like the fermented grapes distilled, and is delicious.
Ah.
And it has alcohol in it.
It's very alcoholic, and it's yeah.
Well,
Pisco's so
obviously, if
good.
you had Pisco crackheads at your door at 3 a.m.
Oh yeah. Uh,
No one would bang on your window for something without alcohol.
good times. Yeah,
I just want that juice.
definitely not.
But,
So can you pinpoint like your favorite location from all your travels, whether alone or with Victor?
Oh my God, my favorite location? I don't know if I've ever thought about that. No, I can't.
it's a hard question.
I can't do it, and I won't do it.
What about, you know what, everyone always asks that question, and it is a hard question to answer, but what about the worst place you've ever visited?
The worst place?
Spot.
Let's see. I mean, it's not really about the places though. For me, it's been like bad interactions with other people, or maybe like the people that you travel with just have like real bad tension, and then you just don't like that area because you fought the whole time. Or I don't know if I had like a really bad place. I mean, I would say that there are probably countries that I don't know would want like make an effort to go back and visit to. Like for me, like Ghana wasn't my favorite
Where?
to visit.
Ghana?
Ghana?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just didn't feel like I had like a super incredible experience. I wish I did.
Now, you were in Ghana when I was there for a semester at sea, or did you go back?
No, first semester at sea.
I had a great time. I mean, it was a little bit of a culture shock when you get out in Accra, which is the city in Ghana. It's a western kind of Africa area. And out of all the places we went to, it wasn't really made for tourists. And India was kind of like that too in some places. But I was able to get out and go to a village to do like Habitat for Humanity. And the people, you know, the people tend to make or break the country, kind of like you were talking about earlier, or who you're with.
Yeah.
I had a great experience. I don't know if I would definitely rush back, but yeah, and I kind of feel the same way about China, I guess. The people I didn't vibe very well there.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way about China too. But I did really like Japan. Japan was super cool, and it definitely had to do a lot with the people because I knew some people from Gonzaga University who had studied at Gonzaga and gone back to their homeland. So they were all in Japan when I got there, and it was super cool to like see them, I guess, in their culture. But I loved Japan.
Yeah,
Hell yeah, I'd go back.
Yeah, Japan's clean. Everyone's cool. Like you get these drunk businessmen, and everyone just invites you to the school. People really make or break a place. They really do.
Yeah, the people definitely do. There was this one time in Vietnam, I went and traveled around. Okay, when I went with you to Vietnam, we had a really cool time. I loved that experience. And so a couple years ago, I decided to go back to Vietnam by myself, and it was not as cool because I did the train ride from northern Vietnam to southern Vietnam, which was like 24 hours. And there was a creepy old man in my train area, like enclosed cabin, and it was just us, and it was uncomfortable. I had to like be moved to a different cabin. And so that experience just like negatively affected my whole trip, which is a bummer because I really liked Vietnam when I first went.
And for the record, this was not the time me and Lindsay traveled together, and I'm not the creepy old man because she calls me old man sometimes.
Yeah. I'm not talking about Jay.
Just for the record. But yeah, Vietnam's one of my favorite countries, but it really depends. You know, you go somewhere 1,000 times, you really don't, you know, it's always a different experience. And you visit it for a week or two. It's not like you live there in different regions and towns.
Yeah.
But that's a shame that guy ruined it for you. But okay, I gotta ask.
Yeah.
Showers and bathrooms living in a van. What's that like?
Oh, it's such a struggle. like along the coast, usually on beach towns, you can find like public restrooms and showers where you can pay. Like, it's very cheap to get a shower there. They're not the cleanest showers in the world, but it's something. And then you always have restrooms at like gas stations. And then when you stop at restaurants to get a cheap lunch too. So bathrooms aren't a huge issue, but it's more showers. Because you don't always find like public showers,
So sometimes I imagine.
But that's what makes this volunteering nice, though, because then you get to this volunteer. You could not shower for a week while you're traveling, and then you get to this volunteer place, and you're good to go. So.
Hell, I don't shower sometimes for a week, and I have a shower.
Yeah, there you go.
It either takes willpower.
So real.
So what kind of friendships do you make at these volunteer places? I'm sure you make lifelong friendships, and do you ever like make plans to visit these folks from like France and stuff?
Yeah, so we've met a lot of really cool travelers since we've left Peru, and the ones that we're still in contact with are still traveling. Like, they're still in Peru in lockdown, or they're still in Ecuador. There's this really nice Chilean Spanish couple that are trapped on the beach in Ecuador. And so we message them sometimes, and we message our other friend, another Chilean and French couple. They are actually just being evacuated. They're going home and stored their car, and they're going home, and then hopefully they'll come back in a couple months and continue their trip. But we want to like meet up with these people afterwards. So we've tried to connect with them in other volunteer spots. So we'll be like, hey, we found a really cool volunteer over here. You guys should come over. But it hasn't worked out so far because there's, travel issues, and, they have different plans. We have different plans. So yeah, we'll definitely want to with these people afterwards, though, because some really cool travelers right now. They're all stuck across South America, though.
So what was Oregon like? I gotta ask. I have family in Oregon, but more North Oregon, so like Hood River area. What's your place like over there? Are you in the city, or is it kind of foresty or type of scenario?
Nice. Roseburg. Yeah, Roseburg is, my parents live on like the countryside. So their house sits on top of a mountain surrounded by like pine trees. It's a beautiful view, definitely. And then my brother lives in Portland, which is where I lived for a year before I left for New York. And I really like Portland a lot for like a large city. It's definitely not as large as Los Angeles or San Francisco or anything, but it's, I don't know. It's like a large city that feels like a small community to me, but I really enjoyed it. Plus, like, even if you're living inner city and you want to go out for like hikes on like the Columbia River around that area, it's super easy to get there. So, and the beach is only like an hour away. I really like Oregon.
Now, how did you start traveling? Like, how did you get the travel bug? Is your family travelers, or are you just how this Lindsay come about, where she's just traveled all over the world and lived in multiple countries?
Yeah. My parents love to travel. My mom used to be like a travel agent, actually, when she was young. And she even worked for an airlines too, I think. So she definitely had the travel bug. I mean, her parents are from Colombia and Guatemala, and she traveled a lot when she was younger. So basically when I was 16, I think, I met a foreign exchange student at my high school who's from Italy. It was Matteo. And so when he went home after his year in Roseburg, Oregon, my parents offered to send me to go visit him because they loved Matteo too. And so we did. They sent me with my older brother, Tyler, and we went backpacking around Europe for a month when I was 16.
Oh.
And then I got back from that. And I was like, okay, well, now you just open a big door and traveling. And so I studied abroad in Chile for 6 months, my senior year of high school. And so, yeah. And then after that, I went to Colombia with my family, and that's where I just couldn't stop. And once I got to Gonzaga University, I found semester at sea, and then I did another study abroad in Italy. And from there, I traveled all over Europe. So I just can't stop. It's a real issue.
Hey, you can be addicted to cocaine or traveling.
Yeah. I don't know what the future looks like when we have to like actually have a house and like have kids and stuff. It's gonna be hard to travel, but I feel like we're still gonna do it because I'm addicted.
Shit, if your mom did it with you, you can do it with your kids for sure.
Yeah, that's what I say. But everyone's like freaked out though. They're like, once you have kids, you can't travel. Like that's what everybody thinks. And we're gonna just have to prove them wrong. Unless there's coronavirus like forever, then nobody's traveling.
Don't jinx it, Lindsay.
There's two people, couples I follow that have traveled around the world on sailboat, have small budgets. Now they're getting followers and getting some money, but La Vagabond and Delos, and both of them have babies on the sailboat. Babies.
Nice. Yeah. We've followed on Instagram a couple as a baby in their Volkswagen van and does the whole driving around America thing. So it's doable.
Well, and it's like you traveling so much. A lot of people say, I can't travel because like I got student loans. You also have student loans. But it's like there's always an excuse. But just because the mass majority of people do something, usually that means don't do it from what I've seen. So like keep your dreams alive. Bring your kids into your dreams, and the kids are only going to benefit.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember when we were on semester at sea, there were a couple families on the ship that had kids on there. And I thought that was the coolest thing. Like, what? Like, so one of these days, I'm going to get a job on semester at sea, and I'm going to bring my kids.
Well, in the learning experience, I remember being, I think it was an orphanage in Vietnam with other little kids that were, I believe were I forget what issues they had, deaf or blind, I believe. But this family, one of the families you're talking about, brought their little kid about the same age, little white kid, and you could just see his brain spinning. And India was the same thing, you know. Where kids were crippled, but they didn't have wheelchairs, so they crawled on the ground to get dinner. And they were dirty, and these little kids have never seen anything like that, and including myself. And then it's got to be something powerful at a young age to see someone your age and how you're so privileged compared to them.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great educational experience for these kids.
Yeah.
I think those same kids went on the tour that I was on in Cambodia at the Killing Fields. They were there with me. And it was like very intense. Like their parents, the way they were raising them was the coolest thing though. Like they would talk to them as if they were adults. They wouldn't treat them like they were like little babies. But when it comes to these sensitive subjects, like the Killing Field, Cambodia, you have to like explain it in a delicate way to them. So they pulled them aside and like had that discussion separate, like with the tour. But that's intense, man.
Interesting.
Traveling with faith.
How old were they, you think?
The little girl had to have been like 4 or 4 or 5, and then the boy was probably like 8 or 9.
Wow.
Well, it's like my niece, she's going into high school, and my dad's on a little sailboat having all these cool experiences that he's never had in his life. And my brother was on there for 1.5 years, and that's his daughter. And we're like, Julie, get on that boat. It's going to be a huge opportunity that's not going to be around forever. You need to go and experience these things at this age. It'd be great for you. Nah, I need my Wi-Fi. Nah. And it's like,
Yeah.
You don't know. You're going to
because I get asked all the time, you know, how can you move away from your family and be away from your family? And I'm just, 4 hours north of where my family lives. Yeah, how do you respond to people like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. like not an easy decision to just straight up say, I'm going to go live in this other country for who knows how long. I'll see you guys later. But my family, fortunately, is able to like come and visit me if they feel like they need to, or if I need that. So we've seen each other probably like once a year over the last 3 years. But yeah, I mean, it's very hard. That's one of the reasons why we decided that we want to go to the United States for now, is because my husband cannot get a tourist visa to the United States. So literally we can't visit the United States unless we have an immigrant visa. So it was either let's just never go see my family in America, or let's move there for a couple of years and you can get citizenship and then we can travel anywhere and see our families both ways. So it's like, it's hard for my husband to like move away from his family too. Like it's definitely an interesting conversation between us, but it's like, I don't know. It's something that we have to do at this point. Like, we're moving to America because we have to. There's no other no other choice. But I'm excited to see my people again for sure. But it's like, we are gonna have to go and visit Peru at least once a year because he has to see people. Like, it's hard.
Well, and it's crazy that you're married. You're an American-born citizen, and you're married to someone, and you're still having trouble.
Yeah, he could get a tourist visa. Like, literally, he went a couple of times to the embassy to do the application, and he had a job contract in Peru. He had a rental contract in Peru. We have a bank account together. Like, we have all this evidence that we live in Peru, but they wouldn't give him the tourist visa to go and visit the United States because he's married to me. So,
You're a felon.
Oops.
So, is that due to COVID-19, or did he apply before and it's due to the current president? The current.
No, this was way before. This was about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago.
Really? So it's wow. Okay. Wow. That's crazy. I always thought if you're American, you get married, it's easier, and it's kind of a guarantee. But I guess I'm ignorant.
Yeah, no, we were told that too by a lawyer who lied to us, that it was going to be easy because he had all these documents saying that we lived in Peru and there would be no issue. But I guess just so many people abuse that. Like, we'll get married for money and then they go on the tourist visa to the United States and they stay. So they've ruined it for us and we can't go there. But that's why we're doing the immigrant visa. The immigrant visa, we will have to be in the United States at least 6 months out of the year. But after we're there 5 years, he can get citizenship. And once he has that passport from the United States, we can live anywhere in the world we want. So that's the way we're going to have to do it for now.
Now, I've been asked that question a lot too. And I find, because I typically answer in the way that I wish my family lived in a place, because where we grew up, me and Nick grew up, it's hard there's not a lot of opportunity. Some people are killing it there, don't get me wrong, but there's less jobs, especially in 08 to 2011. And I knew if I wanted to get out of a certain situation, I would have to probably leave. And plus I wanted to travel. The older I got, the more exposed I got to it. I tend to answer people with, I wish my family was with me constantly. Everyone does. But I also don't feel that because my parents decide to live in a certain area that I'm obligated to inherit that, because I'm my own person. I have my own 100 years on this earth, or 80 years, or whatever it is. And I deserve to choose a place I would like to raise a family, or I would like to live. And that's generally kind of how I answer it.
Yeah, and that's very true. Like, why do I have to go live in that small town if I don't feel like I want to? I'm a citizen of the world. I'll live anywhere I want.
Well said, Jay. Yeah, I totally agree.
Well, can you talk about what countries have you lived in for 2 month, 3 month? in greater time period?
I've lived in Chile for 6 months in northern Chile, and I've lived in Florence, Italy for about 5 months, I believe. And I've lived in Peru for, in total, almost 5 years. And I think that's it. Oh, and I lived in Thailand. I was there for about 4 or 5 months in Thailand.
Wow. And so it seems like South America is kind of your jam.
Yeah, it definitely is my jam.
When you speak,
this is where my people are from, so.
Well, what is it about? It seems like you obviously love Peru and maybe Cusco, but can you describe Peru and Cusco and what attracted you to it?
I don't know. Cusco has such a strong energy there. First of all, the valley, the Sacred Valley, is absolutely beautiful. Like the mountains are covered with Incan agriculture terrain all over the mountains, so you can see the history as soon as you pull up, and it's just absolutely beautiful. The culture is super great. Like everyone is very friendly. The indigenous communities that live there are super friendly. Even if not all of them speak Spanish, they'll try and catch what to you. And I don't know, it's just a beautiful energy. You kind of have to just go and see it, Jay.
I know. So many places. I fell in love with Central America. I'm kind of excited. I'll be excited when you guys get up in that area, because so far that's like my favorite region of the world. Because I think I've been to 4 or 5 countries in that area, but that's tend to where I escape to, because the sand and the palm trees, something about Central America and the small countries you could jump around. I'm excited for you guys to go there, because I'm sure you've seen a lot, but Central America is definitely where my heart is. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're so excited too. I only have been to Guatemala, and I absolutely loved Guatemala. And I always told myself I wanted back to Guatemala at least for a couple months. So this is the perfect opportunity. And I've heard wonderful things about Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua. We're just so excited.
You mean Nicaragua? Just kidding. You said it all professional, but it's like a lot of people like Hawaii a lot, and Hawaii this, Hawaii that, and Hawaii is beautiful. Like anyone that goes there will tell you, it's like Jurassic Park. It's great, but you could go to Central America and have a less Disneyland experience. Still, some areas are Disneylandish, but way cheaper, way more chill, way more beach bum-ish. I will pick Central America over Hawaii any day, and not that I don't like Hawaii. It just feels very American. It feels like Honolulu feels like I might as well be in LA with a beautiful surrounding,
Yeah, definitely. Also, Hawaii's packed with people. That's all I remember about Hawaii. There were so many people on the beaches.
Yeah, it reminds me of the South Park. This is the second time, by the way, we have a guest and we brought up South Park, but the episode where the people that act like they're indigenous Hawaiians are white dudes that don't want other white dudes to move in. We're in the Hawaiian. Check that
out. That's pretty good.
So as soon as the stay-in-place orders are lifted, you guys going to hit the road, or how long do you plan on staying where you're at now?
So the quarantine here is supposedly going to be lifted on May 11th, and the president has said he's not going to extend it. But we are planning on just chilling here until the end of July, because we just want to see what happens. I feel like once they open up the quarantine, things aren't going to go as smoothly as people think. So we're just gonna wait and see what happens. Also, we haven't seen most of my family here, so they're all older, older than 60 years old. So they're all in quarantine until June. So we want to spend some time with them once it's open. And then once borders are open, we are gonna head north to Cartagena. and we'll probably be getting on a boat at the end of August-ish to head over to Panama. If things go as planned, we're just kind of waiting at this point. That's all we can do.
Yeah, that's all anyone could do at this point, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pass the time on the farm.
Oh my gosh, we do a lot of nothing. One of my friends just gave us her Netflix password and username, so we've been abusing that. But we walk around the farm a lot. Sometimes we'll like clean the house just for fun. Or Victor was swimming in the natural pool. We live in this absolutely beautiful mountains right now. So we are thinking about going exploring, even though we're in quarantine. But there's like not a lot of people that live around here, and so we think it'll be fine if we go climb the mountain. But we might go exploring one of these days soon. But there's really nothing to do here on the farm. Just chill.
Well, I don't know your weed situation, but we're super bored. Me and my girl, we played stone chess last night, and it was pretty entertaining for 2 hours.
Oh my god, that sounds entertaining.
So how many people are on this farm? How many families?
No, it's just me and Victor.
Oh wow.
There are no other families. Yeah, we have this huge place to ourselves.
Do you have animals?
There are
Oh wow.
there are 3 dogs on the farm with us, and they like to bark outside of our bedroom window very early in the morning. And we also have bats and tarantulas and little scorpions that crawl on the floor in the house.
Are you serious?
And big snakes. So, keeps us on our toes.
Holy
Yeah.
And what was
Yeah.
did Victor live in the city of Peru or what kind of a environment was Victor in?
So Victor grew up outside of Lima. It's like 2 hours outside of Lima, like inland. And his whole family lives in a pretty small like neighborhood area. So he's used to like smaller towns, definitely. Lima is terrible to go into, so we just don't do that. And he didn't do that very often when he was living there.
It's just too.
Why is that?
Why is that? Because of the crazy amounts of traffic and like all the horns and all the polluted air, and it's just not like a lot of Lima is not safe to even just walk around because you'll get your phone jacked or your purse or whatever you have on you. So it's just not my dig.
I was going to say, when you're traveling, how do you prevent people from stealing your cargo, like whatever you're keeping in the van? Like, can they see through the window? Do you guys have like a lock thing on top, or do you guys even have that much stuff?
No, let's see. The stuff we have on the top is just like a tank of gas, a tank of water, and then like one of my luggage bags that had like stuff that we were gonna sell. We had a bunch of market bags that we were selling along the way, and so that's pretty much all that was on the roof of the car. So there's no issues there. Nobody's ever really tried. But inside the car, we have like a safe area. We hide shit all over the inside of the car, like money. But we haven't had any issues, honestly. We do have curtains so nobody can see in the car or anything like that. But whenever we've been in like unsafe areas, like certain towns that we've been recommended not to park just anywhere, we usually look for a police station. We'll park next to the police station, or some gas stations are like open 24/7. They'll have security guards, so they'll let you stay, like park your car at the gas station. yeah, no, we haven't had any issues so far. We just make sure that we're in a safe area if possible. There's an awesome app called iOverlander, and people like report where like locations where they've had incidents where they've been robbed or where it's like unsafe. And so you can go on there and just look to see where the best place to stay the night would be.
Nice.
So how I mean, if you don't mind me asking, how do you get income? Is this something you guys saved up for, or are you guys kind of making cash along the way?
Yeah, kind of both. We saved up a little bit before leaving. Also, the other car we had, we sold for a lot more than we bought our van for, which was cool. So that helped us definitely. But we have a job with a company called Origins of Food. They basically contract us to be like English translator / tour guides for medical students from the United States that go to Peru, to Lima and Cusco. And we do tours of like hospitals, clinics, like social programs, cultural like museums, stuff like that. And then at the end we do Machu Picchu. And so we had canceled. We had the income from that at least every May. And then we were going to plan for Colombia in August, but that one was canceled as well. So we still are in contact with this company because they're friends of mine actually who own it. And we may be planning one for Central America somewhere once this all blows over. So maybe in Guatemala we'll have another program. And then also we've been selling stuff along the way. So like I make little bracelets and sell them out of the van, or we also make like t-shirts, To Infinity and Chihuan t-shirts with the bus on it. So I was selling those along the way, and little keychains with like Volkswagen bus pictures on them, random little stuff like that.
All right, and everyone could get that stuff from your website, correct?
No, actually, we're not selling anything on our website.
Okay. I was going to pick up some stickers.
Unfortunately, but maybe we'll pass through your town and we'll send you some. We'll stop and give you some stickers.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll do one better. When you guys get to California, you'll have to stop by Lindsay, California, where you've heard tons of stories about Lindsay, I'm sure. And then where me and Nick are from, and we're going to take you to get some kick-ass tacos, some of the best tacos you'll ever have.
Yes.
And then done.
I don't know. That could be tough.
And then if you're in Sacramento, you guys got a place to stay and wash the car and do whatever you need, and we'll treat you right. We'll make sure you guys are right. If you guys want to come to Sacramento anyways, but you got to go to Lindsay and get some tacos.
Oh, we're definitely going to take advantage of that. All we know about Lindsay, California is that they have olives.
Funny you said that. Nick just wrote a blog little post about Lindsay Olives, and we're going to go more in depth on that because there's some corruption stories about Lindsay Olives. Like
yes, eventually, yes. So what?
No, corrupt olives.
Yeah.
It's almost like a cartoon. Remember that cartoon, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
I do.
Oh my goodness.
What? That sounds fun.
So Lindsay, where in the States have you been?
I don't know how many states I've been to. I don't think I've counted. But I have driven cross country. I drove from Oregon to New York for a grad program, and then I had to drive from New York back to Oregon. So the first way there, I did like north of the United States, and then I did the south on the way back. So I know a lot of states, yeah.
Well,
I wouldn't say I've spent like a ton of time in each state, nor would want to, but but I have visited a lot of the eastern states. I went and visited Eric Burgoyne, our friend from Semester C, in New York, and he took me on a road trip to Rhode Island, and I don't even remember where else. To Canada, even.
well, yeah. Eric Burgoyne, big shout out. He's an awesome dude we know in common, and he definitely comes out to the West Coast a lot. So we hang out sometimes.
Yeah, in train though.
Yeah, he took the Amtrak train from like the East Coast to the West Coast because he's that type of guy.
Oh gosh, Eric Burgoyne.
Dude, what's the
I have to ask, hey Nick, I have to ask, you, I believe, you're kind of involved in social issues from time to time. Obviously, you talked about seeing global warming, and you've been in the Peace Corps and seeing how the world's been affected by certain things. And I can't let you go without asking about, was it, and I was supposed to research, but I didn't have time today, but was it North Dakota? Where was it? Where it's Standing Rock? And I believe you went and protested. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that if you're comfortable with it.
Yeah, I did. I went to North Dakota when the protests were crazy, and there were like thousands of people there. I only went for about 4 days, but we had a lot of donations from New York from our university, like jacket donations and like money donations for food donations too. So a friend of mine, Adria, and I drove to Standing Rock, and yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience. Now, I've never actually jumped in on a protest before. I wasn't directly on the front lines of the protest because I didn't feel like I could risk that for me at that moment. But we did go. We made a lot of donations. We were able to be at the camp for 4 days. We participated in some like native ceremonies with them and got to know the people that were living there, the Sioux tribe. And it was an incredible experience. Like, it was definitely like eye-opening to the issues that Native communities suffer in the United States of America. Because that's not really anything the rest of the states, I feel like, talks about. Like, you never see that stuff on the news.
Yeah.
But Standing Rock made it to the news, which was cool.
And what we were going to build an oil line, was that correct? Through some Native American land and just basically take it, right? And they didn't want that to happen because of certain areas were sacred to them. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's like a treaty in the Constitution that says that this land belongs to the Sioux tribe, and they, the oil company wanted to put the pipeline through like holy land for them, but also they wanted to put it across the river, and the only thing down the river, like the only communities down the river, was the Native tribe. So like, if oil spills in the river, that Native tribe is screwed. Like, they no longer have water. So that was the major issue here. But I think that they are, I mean, I think that that has been stopped for now, or they've stopped construction of the pipeline. In the last like week or so, I read something about that. So I think things are looking up for them. It's pretty ridiculous, but these oil companies think they can just come in and, you know, put their pipelines anywhere.
Yeah, and it's like, I see the benefit of oil, but it's like when you mention water and oil, we all just think of certain historical disasters that have happened, and it's a big no-no in my brain. But especially, and also with like in cultures, just, we all know they got a short end of the deal in history with this country, and it's interesting that these things still continue. And you read your history book and you go, "Oh, I wouldn't let that happen. I would." But you're actually someone who actually went there. You know, I did not. So it's even though you weren't on the front lines, I think it still speaks volumes to who you are for actually just going, because that is just one case of a bunch of cases that happen every year that we don't hear about.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, once we got back from that trip, we kind of got more involved in other protests that were happening in New York. they want to like store oil tanker ships in the Hudson River, like right next to the city. And just, there are so many cases like this all around the United States that is just ridiculous. I don't know. The case with Standing Rock honestly was like environmental racism, because the oil companies wanted to put the pipeline somewhere else, actually, like above one of the larger cities, Dakota. I forget what the city is. But but the city members basically told them that they couldn't put the pipeline there because if there was a leak, their water system would be screwed. So put the pipeline over there. And so, you know, at least they asked them, and then they decided they wanted to put it in right where natives take out their water. So
Interesting.
But yeah, this happens
Things got
like
pretty crazy over there.
it happens everywhere. Yeah, things got super crazy. It was like the day before I got there, like 400 protesters were arrested. And then like the day after I left, it was like another 100-something protesters.
Well, it's
Funny thing is the military went in to protest with them while other military enforcement, law enforcement was like shooting gas grenades for bullets and shit. And I remember Amy Goodman went and got arrested.
Who's that?
Amy, she's for Democracy Now! She's like a journalist for Democracy Now! And she puts out a lot of information. But yeah, things got super crazy out there. I mean, I see a lot of comparisons now. I follow a lot of actually natives on Facebook that live in that area and where they're protesting, and you know, there's a lot of rationale going on right now about, you know, where the rubber bullets for these protesters blocking nurses from, you know, doing their jobs type of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, things got super crazy. I mean, it also was not in a good time of the year. It was like November. North Dakota is not warm in November. Like it was starting to snow. Like the police were spraying water on these people at night, and they're like freezing to death out there. Some girl almost lost her arm because of the whole incident. It was just,
Yikes.
Things got crazy.
Well, it's I don't know if it was from that issue, but one of my favorite videos for the wrong reasons online is like a bunch of like construction white dudes with hard hats on, like approaching the tribe chiefs or leaders, and then like, we offer you this water. They have like a 12-pack of like Aquafina or some shit, or 24. It's like,
Oh my god! Great.
If I can find it, it'll be right there. But yeah, it's horrible. Even like where me and Nick grew up. Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Yoko tribe was in that area.
Yeah.
Yoko Valley from a beautiful area. But we sometimes hike onto this private property the guy allows us to go, and we see these old Native American paintings and these rocks and these little caves, and there's even like a cool like stage area that overlooks a valley under it. It looks like Lion King, like a smaller version, but there's not a plaque. There's not I don't know if there's any Yoko people still alive in Central Valley. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but I've never met one. And it's weird. It's just, it's kind of creepy and weird, but also it's to see and remember. But if that was like something from, you see more historic stuff in Lindsay about things that happened way after that. It makes no sense. I think, anyways.
Man, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool though, that you could still like walk around there and see all that.
Oh, there's a cool one in Porterville, California. It's like a Sasquatch looking painting. It's pretty cool. Anyways, well, Lindsay, you've been on about an hour, and we thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule of killing wild animals, snakes and scorpions and all kinds of that. But we thank you for coming on, and I got to say, like, Lindsay's one of the people I think of that I've met traveling, and she's still doing it, and you're one of the few, and there's a couple that we know that go to hotels and resorts, but you're doing it the real way, the real travel way, the real backpacker way. And, follow To Infinity and Chihuan. And if I mess that up, it's CHIHUAN, and that will be below in the description. And support the cause and follow on Instagram and check them all out. And Lindsay or Nick, any last words?
Go for it, Lindsay.
No, I mean, thanks. Thanks for having me on the show, guys. It's good to see you, Jay.
I know, it's been too long, and I can't wait to meet Victor, and we got to just do this just for a good time one of these days. But when you're in California, we'll definitely catch up.
Yeah, definitely. I'll find you guys in Lindsay in Sacramento.
Well,
Yeah.
Lindsay,
Good to meet you, Lindsay. Take care.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.